Roper River Settlement, or as it is now called, Nukur, is situated in the southeastern corner of Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory. Roper was established by the Church of England as a mission in 1908. In 1968, the church handed the management of the settlement over to the government. About this time, the people went on strike over land rights. There were meetings, discussions with the minister, protracted negotiations. The people formed a company, the Yugal Cattle Company. Finally, they were offered a lease by the government of almost 5,500 square kilometres within the Aboriginal reserve on which to run a cattle station. In December 1972, the new government decided to freeze the leasing of land on reserves and to grant full land ownership rights to the Aboriginal people. A commission has been appointed to recommend ways of giving effect to the new policy. Two men who have been active in seeking land rights are the brothers Douglas and Dennis Daniels. Douglas is the director of the Yugal Cattle Company.
When the first European came in Australia, this is way back in history, they never saw a white European on the place in Australia. They saw Aboriginal. Now this is our land. And they took our citizenship right, land right, everything. We got nothing. The government said, oh, you're just a poor Aboriginal blackfellow. Now they start thinking back, they're giving us back.
We had to fight for this land to get it back from government. They wouldn't give us without fighting. We had to fight and ask them, give us the land back. We want something for our people, something that we could, leave to our children, for them to remember us. Because in the early days, our old people, they didn't worry about anything at all.
It's very important when the people took strike about this land. They didn't strike for lease, getting lease. People wanted to own the land. They want the government to give this piece of land back. They didn't ask for a big bit of it, all bit of the Northern Territory. They want just this bit of land to keep only for Aboriginal. Not this leasing. This leasing land is just like renting a house. Well, we didn't want that.
The people at Nukur were not the only ones to be offered a land lease. Another is Duncan Yapanala, stockman and former black tracker. He's interested in land adjoining that of the Yugal Cattle Company. Unlike the Yugal Company, which represents all the people of Nukur, Duncan plans to run his property as a family concern, just himself, his son Arnold, and some other relatives. Stock work is something Aboriginals are skilled at and feel at home with. Still, both Duncan and the Yugal Cattle Company have a big job ahead of them.
First, number one is fencing. We'll be doing fencing work. And right through, when we finish that fencing, we'll keep on fencing outside in Yugal lease. And in times to come, we'll start a yard building, bull catching, selling meat to Abattoir and Catherine, or maybe down over to Groot Island, Rose River, so we can make a lot of money. Not only that, we'd like to see that we start up a mining company, fishery, garden, anything that we can, bring money.
The Yugal Cattle Company has obtained a grant of $336,000 from the Commonwealth Government to finance developments in the first 3 years of operation. They'll be employing a European cattleman to guide and advise them in the management of the property. They will want advice, particularly on the business side. There'll be problems. As an Aboriginal enterprise, the Yugal Company faces special difficulties which another business would not.
In our tribal way, we don't speak to our brother-in-law or father-in-law. And we had a meeting for this a few times, and we said, we'll have to put our law aside a bit when we're going to start this business. Say, when we're on this business working, we don't use our law. We're going to use European law. When we get everything going, then maybe then when we finish job, then after the job, then we can keep our law.
John Wilders is a Dutch immigrant. He first came to the Northern Territory to start a scout troop at Maningrida Aboriginal settlement.
How is it?
Currently, he's the community advisor at Nukur.
And how's it going?
All right, thank you.
Good. What you been doing this morning?
Oh, I've been muster out one Murray way.
One Murray way. Yeah. How many cows did you muster this morning, Barry? I got a message, Alec, from Darwin that cattle manager is coming now with that new Toyota and maybe also with that new truck, Terry, you know, that cattle truck that we're going to get?
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that you have to remember, of course, is that from now on, you have to look after it. So if anything goes wrong, it has to be repaired by the mechanic and, well, it's going to cost you money. So look after your cars and take care of them, that they can go for a long time.
Well, somebody told me that a cattle manager came last week, and they told me he knew me. So I asked them what his name, first name. They said Rodney. I knew him straight away. Well, when we was down at Newry working, he was not much of a talkman then. He used to get a bit of ideas from me. But he's a good bloke, and I don't know what he's like now. But them day he was only single then, young.
He is married now, Terry, and he's got a child already. And, well, the only thing that I can say is work with him, because he's been working now for quite a few years on the cattle stations, and he should know what he is doing. And the better we can make this Yugal Cattle Company, well, the better is it for all. That's not too bad.